Welcome, everyone, to this regular city council meeting for October 21st, 2024. Marie, would you please call the roll?
Fritz,
Here.
Lowe,
Here.
McLaughlin,
Here.
Manetza.
Here. Our invocation this evening is by Pastor Tim Taylor of Hope Church. If you'd please rise and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you for allowing me to pray. Let's pray. Father, I thank you for the city that we get to live in. I thank you for the leaders that you've brought to this community, and we pray for wisdom for the decisions that they make. May they make decisions that are honoring and glorifying to you, but for all people that are in our community. Father, we pray for the coming weeks ahead, that as a city, we will continue to be a place that is filled with love for each other, and love for you. And God, may we ultimately fulfill the things that you ask us to do. Again, I pray for wisdom for these leaders, and may you continue to guide and direct their steps as they guide and direct our city. It's in the name of Jesus I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Well, we have some new appointments to boards and commissions this evening. Marie, could you read those?
Item A, appoint Derek Gatos as the city's liaison to the Coast Guard Festival Board. B, Stephen Termolin, Human Relations Commission, term end June 30, 2027. Item C, Paul Shibley, Zoning Board of Appeals, term end June 30, 2025.
Could I get a motion to appoint them?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Fritz, second by McLaughlin. Any questions on any of these appointments?
Yes, Your Honor. I noticed on the second appointment, Stephen Termolin for the Human Relations Commission. I just have a question, not an objection. The question, just for clarification's sake, was he is a resident, but in the application, it looked like he was coming to Grand Haven, and then I saw that he was a military veteran. Is he a resident by way of being a military?
He has moved to the city. I think he is a former resident. He's in the audience if you'd like to ask him directly, but
Oh,
otherwise, yeah, he's a former resident who has been in the military and is back.
I just assumed that that was your residency from a military perspective you established. Grand Haven?
I did move back.
You did just move back?
Process of retiring right now.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, there is, fortunately, there is no length of time that you have to be here in order to run for one of these. You just need to be a resident. So I saw that you were waiting until you arrived to register to vote, so that's hence the question.
And as it happens, the application was from last summer, and I interviewed Stephen, I think in August, but then a variety of things have been happening, and so I was a little bit delayed in getting the appointment on the agenda. So I believe he is all set, moved in, registered to vote and everything. So here he is.
My only other question was, and it's really just more of a comment on the appointments. I know that we had someone speak up at the last meeting, and we've certainly received some emails, and I guess it's more of a request, Your Honor, just that we have some long-term residents who have spent a lot of time and effort in volunteering their time with the community, and that they have applied to some boards and commissions in the past. And, specifically the ones that come to mind are Jim Hagan and Oliver Champagne. And I guess my request would be that even if they're not selected for a particular role, that you might consider them for some of the boards, board openings that they would like to become a part of, or work with them to try to find a way for them to volunteer their talents to our community, because they are people in our community who I just don't want them to be discouraged coming forward multiple times, and not just under your administration, but under a prior administration, and being turned away. So,
Understood.
It's just a comment.
No, and we certainly welcome applications. We do have other boards and commission openings, and when the applications come to me, if I don't have an opening where they've asked, then I'll sometimes have something else they might be interested in. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, any other questions?
No.
Would you please call the roll?
Fritz?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
Manetza?
Yes. And thank you, everyone, for stepping up. That brings us to the approval of the consent and regular agendas. Could I get a motion?
So move. And second.
Motion by Fritz, motion by McLaughlin, second by Fritz. Are there any changes proposed to the agendas?
I have a correction, and I don't know where to do this, or correction or clarification for the minutes of October 9th.
What we've been doing is,
To move it to new business.
we can move that to the new business so that we can make a change in it. So that would be an amendment to the agenda.
Okay, then I'd like to move that we move the approval of the minutes for October 9th to new business D, 11D.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend are there any other changes?
No.
No? So we have a motion. Can you get a second to the amendment? Or did you?
Oh, the amendment?
I'll do
I'll
amendment.
second it.
Yeah, Karen wants to move the minutes to new business.
I'll second it.
Okay. So an amendatory motion by Lowe, second by Fritz. Any questions on that? Would you call the roll?
Lowe?
Yes.
Fritz?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
Manetza?
Yes. So now we can vote on the agendas.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
Fritz?
Yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
Manetza?
Yes. All right, that brings us to our first call to the audience. At this time, members of the audience may address council on any item, whether they're on the agenda or not. Those addressing council are asked to provide their name and address, will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Council will hear all comments for future consideration, but will not have a response at this time. Those not physically present who would like to call in may dial 616-935-3203. And there are no public hearings tonight, so this will be your only opportunity to address council before we discuss issues. Who would like to address council?
Good evening, council members. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today. I'm Mark Allen, president of the Chamber of Commerce Grand Haven Spring Lake Ferrisburg, located at 1 South Harbor. I'm here today to address the importance of maintaining the economic development contract with the chamber that is currently under review. This contract represents more than just a partnership between the city and the chamber. It's an investment in the future of our community that helps attract new businesses, retain existing businesses, and support a thriving local economy. All of these efforts generate jobs, enhance the tax base, and at the end of the day, improve the quality of life for residents, not just in the city of Grand Haven, but throughout the Tri-Cities area and Northwest Ottawa County. Canceling this contract jeopardizes the future of our work together that is imperative for our continued growth. Together, we have a long history of collaboration and hard work that has developed relationships, networks, and strategic plans. Renewing this contract would allow for future collaboration and continued support in grant writing, business retention visits, economic development services and support to non-chamber member organizations, assistance in succession planning with the many locally owned businesses and properties, and other hyper-local business support needs such as DDA support, liquor license assistance, tax incentives, housing conversations, and more. As I mentioned in my comments at the last council meeting, the Chamber recently entered into a memorandum of understanding with Lakeshore Advantage. This partnership ensures our ability to continue providing hyper-local community economic development services while at the same time having access to additional tools and resources to support the needs of the larger organizations in our region. As things around us continue to change rapidly, this partnership is a win for everyone involved, keeping us proactive versus reactive and supporting economic growth in our region. As the council makes their final decision, I ask that all aspects of the contract and the work have been considered and reviewed. I will mention again that this has been a long-standing partnership that has provided and continues to provide benefits to businesses in the city of Grand Haven and across Northwest Ottawa County, and a commitment that was made to the additional economic development partners. My hope is that council is willing to honor the final year of the 3-year agreement and allow the chamber to prove ourselves and the continued benefit of our work through the organizational changes we are implementing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Kara Galbavi, and my home address is 17940 Cove Street in Spring Lake, but I am the current chair of the chamber, and many of you know me from my activities in the community. Also, as most of you know, up until a couple years ago, my office was located in the city, and I was located here for years. Along with the chamber being the first phone call I made when I went out on my own, the chamber was also the resource I went to help me create my first business plan. I spent every week for months creating that with them. They were the ones to connect me to my first business funding resource, and they were the ones to connect me with other small business resources who I was too intimidated to reach out on my own to, and those that I wasn't even aware of. My own personal view, taking my chamber hat off, is I am a little disheartened by Ashley's memo and the lack of weight that's placed on the importance of small and local businesses in the community. I do believe a key component to the retention and vitality of the larger corporations and the larger manufacturers and the community as a whole is really bound by the vibrancy and the energy that our local businesses supply. Having been a business owner and active member in the community for years, I know the importance of strong, supported small businesses, and I know the chamber has the capacity and the capability to meet those needs. And I want to take a moment, and I don't think I have to say this, but I would like to put it on the record. Mark is doing a tremendous job. He gets a lot of slack and he gets a lot of grief, but he is doing a tremendous job in his position, and he has the full backing of the board. We fully support him. We fully support the changes that he is making. They're not made unilaterally. We think that it's going to be for the betterment of the city and for the community as a whole. And we believe in the new trajectory of the chamber, which is business focused. So, thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to address council? Seeing none, we'll close the call to the audience. There will be another opportunity at the end of the meeting for the audience to address council. That brings us to a presentation on the musical fountain end of season with Mr. Jerry Troke.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Troke, and I'm the chair of the Grand Haven Musical Fountain Committee and president of Friends of the Musical Fountain, the nonprofit organization that supports, promotes, and raises funds for the fountain. When I stood before you in this chamber on May 20th to give you a preseason update, we had just begun to scratch the surface of the 24 season. Since we concluded the season at the end of September and it was significantly successful, I'm very pleased to give you this postseason update. First of all, from a physical plant perspective, I can confidently tell you once again that the fountain is in better shape than it's ever been, as we were able to accomplish another 24 or so of the items on our master task list during the season, in addition to doing routine maintenance. For the first time, we've begun adding items associated with the Dewey Hill anchor and flagpole to our master list in an effort to expand our support to include these neglected assets at the top of the hill. The rebuild of pump number 1 that I referred to in our spring update was completed, and that pump performed flawlessly throughout the season with no issues or water leakage. In partnership with the Grand Haven Department of Public Safety, some new valves and adapters were added to the fountain in late June to allow the fountain to pump water from the pond directly to fire hoses on the hill to wet down the dune grass prior to fireworks shows. If you were present for the July 4th or Coast Guard Festival fireworks this year, all of the water you saw being sprayed onto the hill before the fireworks shows started was being pumped by the fountain pumps and not by the fire department pumper truck as in prior years. This modification allowed firefighters staged on each side of the fountain to be equipped with fire hoses to fight any potential fires instead of just shovels and backpack water sprayers. Our fire department liaison, Terry Turkelson, spearheaded this partnership and was very pleased with how the changes enhanced the firefighting capability during the fireworks shows. Winterization of the fountain is already underway, and the pond and piping have been drained with final fall cleanup and winterization tasks slated to be completed over the next several weeks. That process has been slowed somewhat by the fact that I had my right hip replaced 2 weeks ago, but we'll be back at it soon. In the off-season this year, we plan to rebuild pump number 3, the sister to pump number 1, and do preventative maintenance on all of our legacy valves, some of which have been needing attention. We're also exploring the viability of upgrading our LED lighting fixtures, which are reaching their end of their service life. That technology has continued to evolve, and new options exist that are much less costly to acquire and maintain, and yet are about 3.5 times brighter than our current fixtures. Depending on the outcome of our research, we may be running a Bright Idea fundraising campaign next year to underwrite the cost of the upgraded lighting. Stay tuned to our website and our social media for more information. Secondly, while we continue to maintain and keep the fountain in top physical shape this year, the team did an equally good job of maintaining the production side. We added 10 new choreographers with more in training who completed over 80 new songs, added some new operators, and were able to present 14 new theme shows this year. We have many more new songs in process, along with a slew of new music already approved by the committee on the list of songs our choreographers can choose from, and we'll consider another 40 or so songs to add to the approved list at our November committee meeting. As a comparison, in 2023, we added less than 10 new songs and no additional theme shows. Quite an accomplishment. We've seen an significant increase in our social media engagement, where we now have about 27,500 followers, and we appreciate having the community involved. The production team is grateful to the city for trusting us to try new things this year, and we feel that this season has been highly successful. For the first time this year, we also kept track of our stadium attendance for each show, and attendance for the season totaled over 54,000 people. And that does not include the 2 fireworks shows or our Taylor Swift debut night, our Taylor Swift night debut, where attendance was officially logged as, quote, 2-minute account, unquote, for an average of about 450 per night. If you enjoyed the 2024 season, stay tuned for what we'll try to accomplish in '25. Thirdly, I'm happy to report that the Fountain Committee is back at full strength with 3 new members appointed this year to replace outgoing members. All 3 of these new members came from the ranks of our new choreographers, each of whom applied for membership after getting a taste of what the Fountain is all about in their initial weeks of being choreographers. We also have a new city liaison and look forward to continuing our close relationship with the city. Finally, we continue to promote the Fountain through our website, our ongoing social media presence, giving tours for various groups, including the Chamber's Young Professionals group not long ago, and interacting with many West Michigan media outlets. We've enjoyed great publicity this year via a variety of outlets, the most recent being a live segment just this morning on WAWL with Eric Kalin. I talked with Eric about our ongoing efforts to choreograph more songs for the Fountain, how people could volunteer to help, and the potential new lighting project. We greatly appreciate our media partners and the ways that they help us to raise the visibility of the Fountain. With all that is going on, 2025 should be another exciting year for the Fountain. All of us involved with the Fountain are proud to be a part of that effort, and I want to again thank the City Council and all Fountain fans, wherever you might be, for your ongoing support of the Fountain. Let's continue to work together to make sure that the Fountain is forever. With that, my time is up. Any questions?
Well, thank you, Jerry. Who has questions?
Thank you for all you do. It's a great show every night, and you do a great job.
Labor of love for all of us.
And I can tell you how much they do, because I've seen them in action. And it's a lot of work, and that's an incredibly complex facility on the hill. So good work and good stewardship, so thank you. Okay. Well, that brings us to our consent agenda.
was at the first show. Jesus, you're so
Do
damn.
you remember what they played?
No, I don't remember it. My brother actually worked the coal yard, taking donations as people would come down in their cars.
Oh, okay. All right, that brings us to our consent agenda. Maria, would you like to read that?
Item A, approve council regular meeting minutes of October 7th, 2024. Item B, approve the bills memo in the amount of $897,841.87. Item C, adopt the revised Lake Forest Cemetery rules and regulations as proposed and supported by the Cemetery Board. Item D, approve the State of Michigan's My Deal Road Salt contract for the 2024-2025 winter season with Compass Minerals America, Inc. of Overland, Kansas for 550 tons of salt at $63.28 per ton, delivered for a total budgeted amount of $34,808. Item E, approve the proposal from Aben Marsh of Benton Harbor, Michigan in the budgeted amount of $34,000 to provide engineering services for the 2025 street resurfacing program and beech tree non-motorized pathway project. And item F, approve the purchase of stock water meters and radio equipment from Aetna Supply of Grand Rapids, Michigan in the budgeted amount of $97,280.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Motion by Fritz, second by McLaughlin. Any comments or questions on any item on the consent agenda?
No, you did say you moved item A, right?
No, she just moved,
Oh, part of item A, okay.
yeah, the October 9th minutes.
Right.
I don't know, now under new business. Can I,
Good.
please call the roll?
Fritz?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
Manetza?
Yes. First item of new business, please.
Item A, consideration by City Council of a resolution to authorize city staff to pursue a design-build process for the construction of a new public safety garage at the corner of Columbus and 6th Street that will replace the existing garage space at the former annex building located at 18 North 5th Street, and authorize the mayor and the city clerk to execute the necessary documents. Administration recommends approval.
Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Motion by Fritz, second by McLaughlin. Ashley, do you want to explain this, or, oh, Derek made his escape, so he's not going to.
We are without Public Works assistance today. But, yeah, so we've been discussing this since we released the RFP and through our latest budget process, that we would, after the closing of the annex building in whole, we would look to construct a scaled version of just simply the garage space in the parking lot across the street for our public safety department. Again, adding to the value of the property we were looking to sell with that historic structure. So this is more or less approval of a process, just seeking your concurrence. We typically follow a lengthier process in design, bidding, and hiring a contractor to execute. So we're looking to do a design build process to assist in the time frame and making that a little bit quicker for us as we look to remove ourselves from the space that is now owned by Capstone.
Okay, and the question before us is approval of the design-build process, which is new and different for the city's operation.
Correct, and the bidding process would come back before you. So this is just seeking concurrence on how we are proceeding.
Okay, questions?
But the contract will be approved by us.
Correct,
This is just the process.
yeah. Just because we're straying from our typical bidding process, we wanted to seek your approval.
Do we know roughly how big this garage is going to be? Yeah, roughly, I mean. I know
I
it's
don't have
starting.
that on hand. I think it's a little bit scaled back from what the existing garage
Oh,
space
okay.
is.
Okay.
But again, trying to stay within the cost range we were looking at with opportunity for future work to be done if need be.
Well, a design-build contract should in fact, save time, save money. Because
Correct.
there shouldn't be any change orders or anything like that on a design-build. And you should be able to get a guaranteed max contract out of the contractors because they have everything in front of them. So I think it protects us, a lot more than just a typical bid. So I think
agree.
this is a good idea.
Yeah, it's not uncommon in industry to go this
Not at
route.
all. Not at all.
Karen, you had a question?
Right, is the garage, did we find or relocate the evidence locker? For some reason, I thought that that was also a part of this, or,
That is, so it's just to oversimplify it, it's essentially a closet within the garage space right now. So we would look to
Build something similar.
construct that in the new space. Obviously, working with Chief Hudson on what plans she might have.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. In that case, would you please call the roll?
Fritz,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Manetza.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item B, consideration by City Council of a resolution to approve a license agreement with Captain Custard LLC for the continued use of the Riverview Shops at Bicentennial Park. Administration recommends approval.
Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Motion by Fritz, second by Lowe. Ashley, would you like to fill us in? This was before us before, and we directed you to go back and renegotiate. So can you just quickly articulate where we're at?
Yeah, the most notable change going back, seeking some further feedback and in discussions with the tenant, proposing continuation of use in the space for the 5-year term without any rent subsidy for capital improvements. So it's back up to that increase, which is a little over $18,000 annually, up from a little over $9,000 annually. So it's quite a substantial increase, along with annual CPI increases throughout that 5-year term. And again, that base rent is not inclusive of taxes and utilities, which are billed independently.
Okay. And previously, there had been a request for them to fund capital improvements and be reimbursed through discounted rent, and that's no longer in this.
Correct.
Okay. Questions?
No, I know that Councilperson Lowe was involved in this because she was worried about the length and stuff on that order, so I'm hoping everything went the way you were hoping for it, Karen, if you could. So thank you so much for working hard on it. I appreciate it a whole lot.
Yeah, obviously, it's changed dramatically from the last one.
Yes.
And I still believe that that's not the highest and best use of that parcel, but that's beyond the point right now. I mean, it's only 5 years. I really think that this city should, we know that we have to replace that deck on top of it to the tune of $300,000. And so it'd be great if we could incorporate everything into one pretty cool development, but that's down the road. I'll support this now, but I hope that we can think outside the box a little bit as we move forward. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Comment?
Yes, yeah, thank you. That's what I was, looking for as we discussed, just looking at some of those, taking away some of those additional concessions. And I presume that you reached agreement regarding the ATM that's on the city property?
Yeah, we're working to navigate that now.
Okay. That isn't a part of this anyway, but, okay, I'm comfortable with it. Thank you.
Okay, I'm supportive as well. If there are no other questions, would you please call the roll?
Fritz,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Manetza.
Yes. All right. Item C, please.
Consideration by City Council of a resolution to provide the Spring Lake Grand Haven Ferrisburg Chamber of Commerce 90-day notice of termination contracted services per Section 6 of the Economic Development Services Contract. Administration recommends approval.
Can I get a motion?
So moved?
Second.
A motion by Lowe, second by McLaughlin. Ashley, would you care to summarize what this is?
Yeah. So at your previous meeting, we had a little bit of a preliminary discussion about this, but essentially after careful consideration of our organizational priorities, current service level, and overall strategic direction, I'm recommending that we discontinue our current contract for services for economic development. In my memo, I describe in a lot greater detail some of the thought process and concerns that I had in relation to the process and the services that we've previously had. But just to very quickly bullet point a few of those, again, the greater detail being in my memo, but I feel that we've been internally completing many of the responsibilities that are identified within our current contract, and I believe we have for some time. I don't feel the current service level is sufficient for our upcoming anticipated developments, and as we look to standardize our programming to enhance our large and small scale recruitment and retention, I think there's improvement that needs to be had. Again, the evolving needs of the municipalities has created a misalignment with the contract expectations. Again, to no fault of the chamber, I think it's just an evolving demand that's placed upon them based on 5 different municipalities. I believe that outside consultation would allow us access to qualified financial review services that we've previously sought for our incentive and development requests. Outside consultation will also allow for greater clarity around representation, as we discussed last time, in wondering who the contracted employee is representing at times, whether that be the chamber, the city, or the business at hand. And again, we're evaluating all contracts and services at this time, given our fiscal constraints. So this is just one of many that we're reviewing at this time. And moving forward, I feel we're best suited to evaluate a hybrid solution, so maximizing internal potential, external expertise, and continued collaboration. So again, in my memo, I highlight in a little greater detail, but we are, we are currently, we have a position posted for Assistant City Manager that we have revamped a little bit, looking at our internal needs to focus on an economic development background. We expect that position to be a primary contact for localized issues, implement a strategy and policy direction, offer the grant writing support, and serve as really that collaborative hub of information. We'd also look to seek outside consultation services, which would provide that additional expertise that there may be a gap for, pro forma analysis and financial review services that we're currently lacking, and incentive and abatement consultation and overall project review services. And additionally, I continue to have conversations with our neighbors to look at revamping collaboration that might better meet the needs of our communities. So we're continuing discussion and dialogue. I don't have a firm on what that looks like, but I believe there's potential in the coming months possibly to look at what options we may have. So again, hybrid solution, maximizing those three different avenues to offer a better service to our community.
All right, thank you. So, questions and comments? I'd like to start.
Your Honor? I just wanted to start by thanking Mark and Kara for being here, and but I did want to clarify some parts of your statements to the public. This is not the end of the partnership with between the City of Grand Haven and the Chamber. We have that partnership. We're talking about a specific contract for shared services that has been owned by the Chamber in which we have participated. So our partnership will always exist. This was a customer-supplier relationship, and we were the customer, and you were the supplier of economic development services. I want to commend our city manager, who has kept us all very informed. As I know she's kept you informed as well, Mark. This is not a surprise, and it's been a process that she has thought long and hard about. And the service level issues have been there for some time. Yes, they were exacerbated in the last couple years, but the work that's been pushed back onto our city staff is not something that we, that they can continue to do, especially if we're paying for a certain amount of services. And just as, you stated, Kara, Mark's doing exactly what you and your board want you to do. We have charged the city manager with going through everything, looking creatively at staff and work redeployment. And this is just a piece of it that, since we are doing so much of the work ourselves, we need to just take back and exercise the clause. This isn't, this is exercising part of a contract, our 90-day notification clause to not participate in last year. And while I appreciate that there are some other municipalities involved here, I again would like to commend Ashley for trying to keep her peers in those organizations also up to date and over a relatively long period of time as she's gone through looking at this, but also looking at the solution that the Chamber, came up with. And while it did not meet our needs, and our needs have, indeed evolved and might be different than what the other municipalities were. This is a difficult but a business decision. When you're doing 90% of the work yourself, it's really hard to contract out. We need every penny for the city, and so it's not, it doesn't change our partnership. It is changing the nature of this customer-supplier part of the relationship.
Well done. Anyone else?
Sure.
Okay.
At our last meeting, a gentleman got up, and I can't remember his name, but he said, he represented the chamber, and he's obviously one of our industrial leaders, but, he said that, we should move ahead without a plan. Well, I think Ashley has put together a hell of a plan. I think she's outlined it very clearly. It's something that I near and dear to my heart, obviously, because I spent so much time in community and economic development. I absolutely think this is the way to go. I think that we desperately need expert services when it comes to some of our major projects. I think the diesel plant made it clear to all of us that we needed to do that, because there was things presented to us that I didn't know who was representing who, to be very honest with you. So knowing that we control all this, and it's nothing against the chamber, but knowing that we control everything that goes on in economic development in this town, and we've got a lot of stuff in the, in the pipeline. And I think it's very, very important that we move forward with this plan. And again, I thank Ashley and the staff for putting this together, because it's exactly what we should be doing.
Mike?
Yeah. It's been a long time with us working together, and the Economic Development Corporation and that, along with the chamber. But I gotta say thank you, Mark, and everybody else, and the time that they spent with us. But it's new times, new days, and everything's changing, and it's time to move forward. I think it'd be great for us to take another look at a different view and take a look at it differently. So I'm going to side with Ashley pretty much on this right now and see how it goes. But I want to thank the chamber for everything they have done in the past, because I worked very hard when Joy was there. She worked very, very hard, and it's been totally different since she's been gone, not being represented as well as we were. She had a good, strong voice and being there and telling us. Elizabeth did a fine job, but it's been kind of slowing down a little bit. So I would like to see us move in another direction and move forward. It's time for us to just take another picture at it and move forward.
Thanks, Mike. I would like to emphasize that we've had a long and fruitful relationship with the chamber. The economic development contract is just one aspect of our relationship with the chamber. We retain membership, and we enjoy the membership perks and values that the chamber brings. And certainly the chamber has been embedded in our community for many generations, and that will continue into the future. The economic development contract is kind of a little bit different relationship, but it's just one aspect. I think that Ashley has made a case for us going a different direction with the economic development piece of it, and that makes sense to me, and as with the other council members, I concur with their opinions on this. I think it's important for people to understand that the city is not turning its back on economic development. We continue to see the need and the value, and we hope to do an enhanced version of economic development, working with internally and externally, and whatever resources the administration brings to bear on this. So I think that's important. I also think it's important that we not lose sight of the collaboration we've had with the other municipalities. This has been a joint effort between not just the chamber and the city, but also the neighboring municipalities of Grand Haven Township, Spring Lake Township, and Ferrysburg, and that all of us need to work together because we are, in fact, a common area, a common region with very much integrated economically. So that piece of it, staff administration needs to make sure that we're pursuing that and preserving that common interest and that collaboration. And I know that you, from discussions with city manager, I know that the other city managers, village managers have been in the loop on all this conversation. So that I know that we're trying to bring everyone along in order to have common purpose. So what that looks like going forward, I think that we have a good start. I think it's kind of a work in progress, but I think that this is a step to commit ourselves to that role. So I'm supporting this as well, and I think that this solution will bear fruit. So thank you, Ashley, for pursuing this. I know it's been a long and very, very much thought, a lot of thought has been put into this. So thank you for that. Any other comments or questions?
No.
All right, would you please call the roll?
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Manetza.
Yes. Thank you. All right, item D.
Approval of the October 9, 2024 special city council minutes.
I need a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Fred, second by McLaughlin. Karen, you asked for this to be moved. Would you like to start?
Well, actually, I wanted to, yeah, right. Yeah, well, right, see if we need a, I think the minutes might need some additional detail on the approval of the agenda. I'm wondering if we want to say, Maria, that the meeting was correctly noticed to include deliberation, but the corresponding agenda did not reflect that. It's the only reason why we had to make an amendment, correct?
Yeah, because approval of the agenda, yeah, the deliberations weren't originally included on the agenda.
But they were
It
noticed.
was in the notice.
It was noticed
That we
appropriate.
could discuss it, yes.
It was noticed, yeah, as that would be on, but it didn't make it to the agenda because the city manager just used the past agenda. But I don't know if we want to say that here.
Doesn't matter. You think it should be included, Maria? I mean,
Well, if someone was reading it in the future, they might think that it wasn't correctly noticed and that we were just changing the agenda to include deliberation, and I don't know. I just thought clarification
What
might
you're
be
saying.
better than
Well, I mean,
for the.
I'm okay
since-
with changing the language in the minutes. Typically, we don't talk much about how it's noticed, but if it does make a difference in how people perceive the record, then it's not a bad thing to include.
I'm fine with,
can you put something
Anything.
together and could we vote on it at like our next meeting?
Would you like to postpone
Yeah.
approval?
Why don't we postpone approval? Take time to put together what you think.
It's just probably a simple line,
Yeah.
you know.
you just need a
You guys mind that?
sentence?
Doesn't matter to me.
Like, you could do it above or below, just,
Yeah, I think you could do it below. I don't think it, just
I mean, I
noting
think
that the meeting was
done with.
correctly noticed,
If we
but
can, if
it
you can come
wasn't.
up with a line.
If you can come up with something right now, it'd be nice, then we
Yeah,
can
then we
just.
can just be done with it. I mean, it's just making note of how it was noticed.
we can, below it, we can write,
Kind of a preemptive strike.
please note that this special meeting was correctly noticed in accordance with the Open Meetings Act? Or do you want it to say something more specifically
correct-
about how it was?
Was correctly noticed to allow
Allow for
or
deliberations and
deliberations,
decision?
right. That way if someone's looking at it in the
Sounds good.
future, they don't think we skipped ahead and did it.
Well, it's important in the language of the charter that special meetings can only be held for the purpose for which they were noticed.
Right,
But it doesn't say anything about how the agenda was actually published, but,
right.
so that's relevant in terms of charter language. Because otherwise, if we add things to a special meeting that weren't noticed, that would be in conflict.
Right, and then it would mean the appointment would be, and I wouldn't want,
So
Give that
anyway,
impression.
that's fine if we can just make a note of that.
Sorry, I'm just writing it down, then I'll read it back to you.
Yeah, just read it back and then I'm sure it'll be fine.
So I have, please note this meeting was correctly noticed to allow for deliberations and a decision in accordance with the Grand Haven City Charter and the Open Meetings Act.
Very good.
Sounds fine.
That's fine with me.
That sounds good.
So you need a motion to amend? Okay, we need a motion.
I'll make a
to that.
motion to amend using that statement.
Second.
Okay, motion by Lowe, second by McLaughlin to amend the minutes to reflect the notice as published, as you said it. Please call the roll on that, on the amendment.
Lowe,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes?
Manetza.
Yes, now we can vote on the minutes.
Fritz,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Manetza.
Yes. All right, very good. And that was our last item of new business. So now we come to report by city council. Who would like to start?
Talk about the Tigers, they lost.
No, don't talk about that.
The Washington Square event that Aaron put on was just, I mean, Mike and I were just talking about, it was just incredible. I mean, I don't think anybody thought it was going to get to that big, that quick. She did a wonderful job. All the kids were having a ball. I think what's really important, especially for the small businesses, is that there are a lot of people there to kind of get introduced to businesses that they probably never saw. And I thought that was a a real home run when it came to that. Besides all the, all the partying and so forth with the kids, but I think that was really important to those small businesses, some of the small businesses that, not the Stands and the Franks, but some of the other businesses. I thought it was really well done, and I congratulate Aaron putting it together. That's it for me.
Okay, well, thank you. I agree.
I'll agree with that 100%. They had their doors open, there was a lot of people there, and I happened to run across one of my old neighbors, and I said, yeah, your house is up for sale again. And they came from Ferrisburg over, and that, so it was really good. That was a great event. Also, we went to business recognition. We had the Clausen Funeral Home, and it was, I tell you what, seeing Dave Clausen again was very honorable. I tell you, there's also, don't forget the Bones About Town. I've been down there voting and that, so make sure you get your votes in. It's getting close. So it's pretty cool. I was talking to a business owner down there, and they said they could not believe the recognition they got from the, like, was it on Fox News, TV 13, Channel 8, all of them had them on there. And that Saturday, there was a lot of people in town that were from out of town came in and filled the downtown up area pretty well. And there's a lot of people walking around with some bags and that, so it's really nice to see that they're in there spending some money and buying some things to help them support our downtown merchants. Yes, I can say something about the Tigers. I did predict, what'd I say, second or third? I wanted to predict first, but I said second or third, but I never, ever thought they would get.
That's true.
They absolutely outplayed themselves. The coach had them believing all the way. I happened to be down there Thursday for the game, and the excitement there was better than what I say for opening days. I've been down opening, I don't know how many opening days I've gone to, but I tell you what, that getting back into the playoffs, there was so much excitement. It was unbelievable. Up until the last out, it was just a roar down there for them. And when the last out, it was kind of like whew, quiet. It was, everybody's walking out saying, what a great season. So
Great, you could go to the game.
it was nice.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you, Mike. Karen?
Right, I just wanted to echo what my colleague said about the event in Washington Square, as well as, I still have my program, Kara, from the Chamber's 38th Annual Business Recognition Luncheon, and it was lovely to have Clausen Family Funeral Home honored, as well as the Coast Guard Festival for their 100 years, as well as GHSP for 100 years in business. So what a remarkable story and part of the Chamber. So thank you for that. And that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I can echo the sentiments about the Washington Square party. It was a great party, well-attended. Weather was beautiful. The event was well put together, well-attended. A lot of local people. People brought their kids. It was a lot of fun. I was down there a couple of times. It was packed, and it was, the folks who put this on, Erin and her boyfriend, and the other folks down there that all contributed, they worked hard on this, and it really was very successful, and hopefully we'll be back next year and as bigger. So, very good. I would like to also echo the sentiment about the business recognition luncheon. That was was an excellent event put on by the chamber, and it was the 5 municipalities working with the chamber to recognize at least one business. Each year we do this, and they get they get a little glass plaque, and they get recognition, and they get to tell their story briefly, and it was very good. And I had the privilege of introducing Clausen Family Funeral Home, and I also had the privilege of introducing GHSP, originally Grand Haven Stamp Products, before that Bowling Manufacturing, through all their iterations from 1924 to 2024. And I appreciate the opportunity that was afforded. It was an excellent event. Also, the chamber put on a housing seminar type of event. They brought in Chuck Maroon from Strong Towns, gave us an outstanding lecture on the issues around housing, how housing has become commoditized to the point where it's become detached from its value as shelter and become more of an investment type commodity. And that's made it more difficult in many ways. People appreciate that when their housing appreciates in value, but makes it tough for new people to enter the market. And that's been a major problem. Basically, the bottom rung of the ladder for people entering new homes is no longer exists. So it was a very thoughtful, very informative session. I appreciated that. I've heard Mr. Maroon talk before, and he did a very good job again. So anyway, those are excellent things. I also enjoyed the early bird breakfast, another great chamber event that we have once a month in the colder weather. Not so much in the summer, I don't think we do it. Anyway, those are great networking opportunities, great opportunities to recognize area businesses and appreciate the value and the strength and the resilience that we have here. I also participated in a Zoom meeting with the Michigan Municipal League Energy and Environment Committee. This is a committee I've served on for a number of years, and we talked about some upcoming legislation. It sounds as though the lame duck session this year may be a busy one. We talked about pending legislation around packaging, recycling, and packaging reduction recycling requirements that are being proposed, which would basically set up a new office within the state to monitor another waste stream and try to minimize that. Talked about tipping fee recommendations, because as you may know, there's been a recommendation by the governor to drastically increase landfill tipping fees. And that's there's been a lot of thought put into that and some alternatives and maybe a more realistic timeline for it. There's a polluter pay bill. Actually, it's a set of about 5 bills, but 2 of them in particular, SB 605 and 606, are significant in trying to hold polluters accountable, but also have implications in terms of trying to bring brownfield sites back to productive use, which, if not carefully implemented, could be counterproductive. And so there's a lot of language there that Eagle is working through. It was proposed in the Senate and has made its way through maybe a committee hearing or two, but Eagle hasn't weighed in on the exact language. And so it's kind of a work in progress that hopefully it'll come out with a good balance between holding polluters responsible, but also making it possible to bring back in some of the brownfield sites in a realistic manner to productive use. And there was something about septic codes that we talked about, and a quick update on lame duck. I find the Michigan Municipal League and their lobbying efforts for the city and for all cities in the state, very informative, very productive, and they give us an opportunity to directly give feedback to our lobbyists who in turn take it back to the legislators. They're well respected on Capitol Hill. So it's a great service that MML provides to us. And that is my report. So I'll turn it over to Ashley.
Okay, just super quickly, because we're approaching the end of October here, we do have our Halloween event, I believe it's next week already. So that is held in Central Park Place from 5:30 to 7. Just putting out an all call to the listeners, any business, organization, or nonprofit that would like to host a table there. We're always looking for more participants. So great opportunity to show up, meet a community need. It's always a great poor weather alternative, unless it drops a foot of snow, then it's not the best alternative, but.
We'll do that again.
So always a great alternative. We probably see 500 to 1,000 kids that come through depending on the year. So a very well-loved event as well, and we always get great participation. So we look forward to that next week. Again, because I won't see you before, well, I'll see you, but because we won't meet before next month, again, another acknowledgement of an initiative we're working on as a staff. We've talked a little bit about it through our budgeting process the last go-around, but our finance director and I are working quite diligently on reviewing different community surveys that we look forward to modifying into our own to implement into this year's budget process for us. So typically, we start in about December with the council strategy setting session. We're looking to run a community survey through the month of November. That'll be a really good benchmarking tool for us, but also feed into what the community sees as what should be our budget priorities. So that will give us information to provide you as you go into your strategy setting session in December, and ultimately when we create our line items in January. So we're really excited about that. We'll be pushing that hard through the month of November, so anything you can do to help us share that, we'll have more to come shortly. But yeah, our next meeting is November 4th, so that should already be out. And that is all.
All right, well, thank you. Well, that brings us to our second call to the audience. This time, members of the audience may address council on any item, whether on the agenda or not. Those addressing council are asked to provide their name and address and will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Council will hear all comments for future consideration, will not have a response at this time. Those not physically present who would like to call in may dial 616-935-3203. Who would like to address council? Last chance. All right, seeing no one, I will move on to adjournment. So thank you, everyone, for coming. We're adjourned.
And congratulations.